Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. This is another episode of Pass the Cheese, Please. Today with us, we have my friend Caitlin. Or do you want to go by Kate?
Kate is great.
Kate's great,
Yeah.
the usual.
Yeah.
If you want to know a funny story about you in my phone, so Kate and I met when we went on this big Europe trip. We were in Europe for a month. We went to like 10 different countries with 40 or 50 different people. Um,
50 randos.
yeah, yeah. But during that time, the cat daddy dance was popular. And I
Yeah.
remember we were in like this haunted hostel in Switzerland. And it was like really scary, but also like just really ridiculous. And we were all like kind of hanging out, drinking wine like together. And somehow Kayla, who is a professional dancer, I think, I think that's how she would define herself.
She is an amazing professional dancer.
Well, definitely amazing. But yeah, professional dancer.
You should have
Kayla,
her on the show, actually.
what's up?
You should have her on the show, maybe.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to reach out to a bunch of different people. I would love to talk to Kayla about that. Anyway, Kayla, I'm sorry, I don't know your official title. That's my bad. That's on me. But she is a dancer, I think, professionally. Um,
That's
and she just like somehow we got to talking about how we could do the cat daddy, and so both Kayla and I started doing it, and then you just became obsessed with it.
how
So
like I remember that, but how do you do the cat daddy? I kind
uh
of
so you use your arms as wheels,
I remember
and
that.
like another wheel
Yeah.
situation.
Yo, let's bring that back like now. Talk
But
to Kayla about that. She should add it into a routine.
um, but you in my phone are cat daddy, and so anytime anytime I like have to think of what your actual name is, is it Caitlin? Is it with a C? Is it with a K? Like I don't quite remember.
We could just go by cat daddy.
Yeah, I mean that's how I think of you. So
Cat daddy Kate. Oh, that's good. Caitlin, Katie. My neighbors call me Katie.
oh
And another one calls me Kath.
oh
Yeah.
okay.
So I let everything slide. It's just like I know names are important, but for me, if it's close enough,
You're a person of many faces.
yeah, I have multiple personalities.
Well,
Yep.
something. So our one of our segments is called "Pass the Cheese," where I compliment the guest, and there are so many things that I can say about you, but like just the main thing that I always just kind of come back to is like whenever we're talking, or and probably especially in person, you just feel like another half of my soul, like just a different part, but just like also like so similar, but also super different in like a lot of wonderful ways. And there are things that we don't agree on or we see different sides of, and it's not a big deal, but also we see like when we get down to the basic facts, there are so many things that we agree on. And so that's really nice and lovely. But we can also just talk about anything. Like we can talk about a dance that I taught you, Kayla and I taught you how to do. And then we could also kind of talk about the meaning of the universe. And that's really special and very wonderful.
Yeah, dude, totally. I feel the same way. I feel like we were meant to meet on that trip for sure. I can't believe that was what, like 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Ooh.
9 years ago, because it was 2011 that we went.
Oh, I thought it was 10. All right, cool. So not quite 10 yet, right?
That's okay. Hey, nine's close enough.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
nine, schmine, whatever.
Yeah,
So
I just kind of think about like the so many like so many times and things that we've done that like we've been able to be together, and it things have evolved, since we first met and all that, in our relationship, and just like all of them are really special and really near and dear to my heart. So thank you for being a part of that.
aw, I love you so much.
Yeah.
So actually when you were talking about the haunted hotel or whatever that was,
Yeah.
we so I think we stayed in like a couple pretty sketchy haunted places. One was in Switzerland. It was like a jail. An
Yeah, it
old
used to be
jail.
a jail. We stayed in prisoner, like what were cells, basically. That's what we stayed
I felt pretty chill there.
in.
But let me tell you about what happened at that German place we stayed at.
Oh,
Remember it had the sauna and
yeah. Was that in
well,
Heidelberg?
it had a pool. It was outside of Heidelberg. It was like in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. I don't quite remember what city that was in, but that's not important. It only matters to us. It doesn't matter to everyone watching.
So the story is we all were, having a great time, hanging out in the basement. There was like a sauna
Mhm.
and it was like a huge, like white tile, full open floor room. It kind of looked like a clean version of the room from Saw 1, except huge. And then there was a sauna. So we were all chilling in the sauna and or wait, is that the thing where it's just hot? It's not steam?
Um, yes, because it's like, because steam rooms have steam. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Better. I have so many steam rooms and saunas in my house right now. I don't even know what
It's just,
I
it's hard to keep track of all of them and all these bathhouses I'm going to.
gosh, it's so hard. Life is so hard.
So hard.
So anyway, here's the story. So I had a stroke of genius. I really needed to wash my clothes. So I washed them in the sink or whatever somewhere. And then after everyone like went to sleep, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go down to the basement. I'm gonna lay out all my clothes in the sauna. It's gonna dry all my clothes perfectly, right? So I do that, and I lay all my clothes out. Everything's fine. I go back up to the rooms, and then a little while later, I go down to check on it without my phone, nothing, just. Um, so I get down there and I get my clothes, and out of no, like all of a sudden, all the lights turned out. So I'm in this like, I literally couldn't see, dude. I didn't have a flashlight, a phone. I felt like I was in Saw 1. I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. Like, is someone touching? I felt like, I don't know, maybe there was some ghost or something down there, but it was hilarious. Like when I finally got back up, I was just like shaking like of a leaf. That was really scary, but also pretty awesome looking back. Sometimes the scary moments are the best ones when you look back on them a few years later after you survived.
Yeah, I remember. I'm sorry that happened to you. I definitely got chills when you were telling that story. I was very worried. I'm glad you're okay. Oh, but were your clothes okay? Did they dry?
They did. It was actually really worked out. I was like, oh man, this is such a genius move. Like nobody else is thinking of this. Yeah, I almost found myself chained to a pipe with a sock.
I was a little bit worried that part of the story was going to be that your clothes were all gone because someone from housekeeping or something had, like someone cleaning had taken them. Uh,
That would sucked a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
You would have had to go to the front desk and be like, someone took the entire contents of my suitcase that I left in the sauna last night.
Like, okay, American.
Um,
Oh, man, so
well,
many good stories from Europe. Like, I know we can go on and on. I guess the main takeaway from that is not the main takeaway, but something that I always think about and I'm proud of is that for me, um, I saved a lot to go on that trip. So that was like a goal
mhm.
um, that I accomplished. And just being brave, like going on a trip for a month with 50 random people, like that takes guts. And obviously, you got a lot of guts too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that trip, it was actually the first time that I ever went out of the country. And it was something where like some family members had put some money away when I was younger, and I had this money, and it was something that like, I could either like buy a car with it or, buy a used car, or I could travel. And traveling out of the country was really important to me, and it was something that I had never done. And yeah, and I wanted to do it. And I think that we got really lucky in a lot of ways because it was a group tour. And so a lot of the scary and headache logistics were already taken care of for us.
Nice.
And it went to places that I wanted to go. It went to some places that I was like, I don't know, sure. And so that was really great. And I really think was really special. But also on that trip, I have this habit where I still feel like 13 and kind of can feel really insecure. And so you like meet one person and you're like, okay, we like kind of get along. I'm going to stay with you forever. And then like 4 days later, you're like, oh, maybe we don't quite get along as well as I thought we did. And so I really wanted to challenge myself and do something a little bit different. And so I had a goal for every single day, the 30 days that we were gone, I was going to hang out with a different group of people,
Oh, that's a cool
or,
goal.
or just basically not stay with the same one person. And yeah, it was really great. It was very hard in the beginning because I wanted to just stay with those like one or two people that I could talk to, but I really treasure it. And I got to know a lot of people. Some people I got to know better than others. Um, some people, yeah, but like you kind of learn like, oh, we're kind of different, kind of thing. But yeah, like I think that I got to know everyone on the trip, but obviously I got to know like some people better than others. So yeah, like I really liked it and I really appreciated it.
Yeah. And it's good that, we got it in before all this happened.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's rough and it's weird. But I did want to tell you this funny story.
Yeah, I love funny stories, especially from you.
So I have this cheese plate that I make every time I talk to guests, and there's this one
Yeah.
there's this one cheese that I got, and I go to my grocery store and I'm like, what looks good? Like, what do I know that I kind of like? And kind of go from there. I'm not usually looking for something, but sometimes I'll be like, oh, I am out of goat cheese. Let me try a different goat cheese. Um, but there's this one that I got, and immediately upon opening it, it smelled like the cheese that I
Mhm.
bought when we were in Switzerland.
Dude,
Hated.
rank. That was the worst.
It tasted good, but it smelled terrible.
No, I feel like that might be the turning point for me, like deciding, yeah, I don't know if I'm like a cheese person. Like I like mac and cheese. I think we talked about this. I like mac and cheese, like nachos, like I like cheeseburgers, but like
Just cheese?
yeah, like just cheese, like I know. It's weird. It's weird.
Well, the ending part of that story is Kate said, absolutely not. Do not leave this in the room. You made me keep it outside. But like we didn't have any because it was freaking prison, so we didn't have any windows that opened.
Yeah.
So I couldn't like just put it out, excuse me, outside in a windowsill. So I like left it outside the door and housekeeping totally took it. So
No. They probably thought it was like old cheese. Oh, look at the baby.
yeah.
Hi.
She's been awake and she's been walking around. I don't know if you've seen me like just reaching down to pet her, but I thought it was only fair that everyone knew why she was reaching or why I was moving.
She's trying to say hi. She
Yeah,
wants to be on this episode.
yeah, she loves it. Mostly she sleeps, but sometimes she'll make a verbal appearance. I can't let her jump up on my lap like I normally do when I'm talking on videos because I have this cheese plate and she will immediately put her face into it. So
Yep. A lot of people I know.
yeah, I mean, like
It's so
mother.
funny. My roommate came in earlier and he's like, "Hey, do you wanna? I made a cheese plate. Do you want some?" And I was like, "Wow, that's so funny. I am actually doing this project with my friend Jackie, and it involves cheese plates. So I was like, if you have any left over, like maybe I could have it and just put it here for decoration." But yeah, I already admitted on camera that I'm not like a huge cheese fan.
That was a good way of like talking around it though without actually answering the question for them though. Like, oh yeah, maybe if you have some left over, I'll take some.
Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah. I mean, it was also like 9 a.m. when he offered me the cheese plate, and I was like, hmm.
It is always something like the timing with all this because a lot of people that I've interviewed with are on different like in different time zones as me. And Uh, so, it's something that like I try and time out. And the reality is like there are no rules, so it's probably not a big deal. But for me, it feels very weird to be eating cheese at 9 a.m., like a whole plate of cheese.
Yeah. Uh, that's like when you know you have a problem.
Yeah.
You have to do an intervention on my roommate.
And arguably like not arguably, I don't know. But there are definitely times where like it's in between meals for me, like I've eaten recently enough. And so some of these cheese plates actually are meals. And so that's why you see bigger plates when I take the pictures. Some of them are just little snacks. So yeah, little
No-
little peek.
yeah, nothing
behind-
against cheese. It has protein. It's good. It's good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
delicious. And you can have apples. And earlier today, I was like, don't forget this new jam that you got. And then I forgot to put it in the bowl when I took my picture. And I was like, well, I could still eat it. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone doesn't get mad at me because I ate jam that I didn't take a picture of.
Well, now that you put it out there,
All these adoring fans.
I know you're gonna have to feature that jam next time.
Okay, next time. Next time I will. I promise everyone I will do better. Next time I'll make sure to not forget the jam when taking a picture.
Yes.
Is that kind of the second segment of Wine About It where you talk about how you don't like cheese?
Yeah. Do you want to know other pet peeves I have?
Sure.
All right. Well, I am living in Brooklyn, New York right now. And someone recently asked me what my pet peeves are. And I really don't have any except one.
Okay.
My biggest pet peeve is when I'm exiting the subway, going up the stairs, if someone in front of me is looking at their phone, I can't take it. I can't handle it. There's so many things in New York to be annoyed about, and that's what I choose. I mean, I don't say anything, I just keep it inside, but like, yeah, that's my pet peeve.
I think that I think
Even
that
though
that's
I do
fair.
it, even though sometimes I totally do it, but
Um, but I think also like there there are so many things in New York to be annoyed about. I think that that's a valid one, and I think that's also like a manageable one.
yes, yeah. You definitely need to uh let a lot of things go when you're with so many people,
Yeah.
surrounded by so many people. Like I saw this guy vaping on the G train the other day. And meanwhile, like it's required to wear masks on public transport.
Yeah.
I had this vision of me going up to him being like, hey, what kind of vape pen is that? And then I pictured him like showing it to me. And then I pictured myself grabbing it and throwing it out the door at the next stop and being like,
Wear a
but
mask.
like, who am I to do that? And also, it is what it is. Vape away, guy. Vape away.
um, it is like this really interesting, yeah, like the people who choose to confront and have a discussion. And I don't feel confident and comfortable enough that my approach will be like too spicy or not spicy enough in those situations. And yeah, and so like a lot of times I just kind of let it happen. People who are working, in grocery stores and retail and all of that, they've kind of said, I've heard like, hey, we can't really say anything about this. So if you could kind of take that burden on. But something that I've been like really sitting with, and I agree, like all of us should be wearing masks. And if that's what's required, that's what we should be doing. It's a small inconvenience of putting a piece of fabric on your face. But I've been kind of sitting with like, you have bad days and you have days that you don't sleep well and you just like feel like a zombie and you're just trying your best. You have days that you're like super high anxiety. You have days like something else like hungover. Like you have just days where you're just like you've put on pants and that's your win. And like whenever I have those days, I feel like I'm like everyone needs to be like nice to me and kind to me and also just kind of like don't bother me, I won't bother you. Like I'm just gonna go to the grocery store, get my apple and leave, whatever my thing is. But I think that we also kind of forget that like that happens for other people too. And so sometimes you see someone and you're like, "Ah, ah, ah," but you kind of forget that like shit happens and it is happening to them too. And yeah, and so I think that
Amen. That's for
part of
sure.
me, like, I want to be spicy and I want to be like, you need to wear a mask because you are putting all these people who are getting paid minimum wage, if that, like at risk. And this is like, if you can't wear it for 20 minutes when you're buying your potatoes and milk, like, don't be here, you know? But also, like, I don't know, like, we all just kind of need to be nicer to each other too, you know? And
I really, really agree with that. I feel like, yeah, I think that it has to start somewhere, and it's an individual thing.
yeah,
So, yeah, I would really like that to start taking,
yeah.
you know.
I think if we all could kind of think about the other people that are in this world with us, I think that all of us would be a lot better off, you know, because it's not just how does this affect me? Because what affects me in Minnesota affects you entirely different in New York and also affects my neighbor who lives next to me and it affects your roommate, you know, like people who can be physically close, it affects them differently. People who can be emotionally close because we agree on a lot of things, you know, it can affect them differently. Yeah, and I don't know, like I think that this has the potential to turn into like this whole huge soapbox of like other stuff that I've been like sitting with and thinking about. But maybe like if you're upset about something, maybe just try and take a step back and just be like, what am I upset about? And like, is this person the reason I'm upset? You know, is this poor postal worker who you have to fucking save the USPS? That's never something that I thought that I would ever have to worry about. But like, is this poor postal worker who is probably understaffed, overworked, you know, and all they're trying to do is just get people their mail, which is potentially already delayed. Like, am I really mad at them? Or am I mad at something that's a lot bigger and it's a lot different? And, you know, maybe just kind of taking that step back. And that's something like I'm not perfect. I'm definitely still working on this. But yeah, it's, you know, as this project is, you know, kind of me looking in the mirror and seeing what things that I need to get better about. You know, that's something that I've been thinking about. I've been talking for too long.
No, you have not. I'm listening and I love hearing your voice.
Thanks.
Yeah. That reminds me, speaking of the postal service, I don't know how much time we have left, but there is something I wanted to bring up during this.
Yeah, a couple of minutes, you know, like maybe if it's going to go on for another 20, let's not do it. But if, you know, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you know, there are no rules for this. It's all loosey goosey.
I was hoping I could maybe talk about my new side hustle that I was talking.
Please. Yeah, I was going to ask you at the end if there's anything that you want to bring awareness to, whether it's personal or bigger or whatever.
Yeah. So, just so everyone knows, I am a preschool teacher. I've been a preschool teacher for 10 years, maybe 11. Um,
You're
and
definitely doing it when we met, if that helps fill out the
so 2010, okay. Right after college. I didn't study education, I just fell into it. And everyone knows teachers are underpaid. So, all of us pretty much have side hustles, whether it's babysitting, working in coffee shops, you name it.
They
Any
also, I will interject, they also have to pay for a lot of school supplies out of pocket. So remember that. So when
Yeah.
people talk about defunding things, teachers and education have been defunded for years because that's one of the first budgets that's always cut.
Yeah,
Continue.
which is wild because I mean, I think the shutdown proves that teachers should be, you know, revered and paid more.
Do you remember the first week when everyone said teachers need to be paid $1 million? And then 4 months later, everyone was like, schools need to be reopened because I can't deal with my kids. Like, let's just take a look at that.
Yeah, right? So, you know, I'm a hustler anyway, so I enjoy the side hustle. I've definitely slowed down now that I'm like in my 30s. I can't like do 18-hour days, like work and then two babysitting jobs in a row and then go to sleep for 6 hours, you know, six
Yeah,
hours, whatever.
not quite as easy as it used to be.
Yeah. And then I had another side gig doing like custom painting for perfume bottles. but that obviously is not really happening anymore because retail is not doing so well. So my new side hustle is I've been researching and learning about the stock market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I bring it up is because a neighbor of mine started teaching me about it, and he recommended that I um, look into investing in a company called Workhorse, which is hopefully going to get a contract with the United States Postal Service to replace their vehicles with electric vehicles. So I'm really excited about that. Fingers crossed. I feel like it's heading in that direction. But the reason I bring this up is because I was telling my coworkers a little bit about it, and you know, I realized that a lot of women um, don't know how to do it, and by a lot of women, I mean myself.
Myself
Um,
as well.
yeah, and granted, I am getting some like tutoring from my neighbor as well as tips, not insider tips though. Just saying. So I definitely feel like, I have a little bit of that advantage right now, but there's so much potential there. And I really think that I want to spread the word that women can do this and we can be a part of this too. And it's not just like, when you think of the stock market, you just think of a bunch of men just like waving on the
Yeah.
stock
Buy,
exchange.
buy, buy, sell, sell,
Yeah.
sell.
So, it never really felt like a area that a preschool teacher, artist, creative type, would enter.
Yeah.
Um, Turns out I can't stop learning about it. I'm
Okay.
I'm constantly reading about the market trends, companies, and it's helping me sort of see the world in a different way and the news
Mhm.
in a different way. So yeah, I just want to share the message that, you know, don't limit yourself.
Mhm.
Um, because there's a quote I like. Actually, I have a sticker. It says, "People will believe the impossible when they see you live it."
Wow.
So I'm not saying this is an impossible thing. I'm just saying that now is the time for us to stand up and be a part of this, because I mean, am I the only one who's tired of billionaires profiting? No. Yeah. We
Yeah.
all. So I think we should, you know,
Yeah.
enter it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. We've talked about this, and I've said before, I don't want to give like free advertising to things. So there's an app that the two of us use, and I don't know, like usually I'll like switch things around, or sometimes I'll rhyme, so I can't do it really quickly. So like schmob and schmud. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
is what we use. And you can kind of look through stuff. And I got into this through my ex, who is a male. He was the one that kind of taught me about this. And I will not say that I still know things or like, super know what's going on, but it was like a small enough. What was that?
Me either.
Yeah.
I'm
But
big of learning.
I started just buying like stocks that were like $5 to $10 because I was like, this is as much money as I have because I have none, but also that I'm kind of willing to like play around with, and since then it has gotten, I'm like, okay, this stock is $50. And, like I have bought a couple that were like 100 or maybe like 200, but like that's kind of I have like one or two of those and like that's it, but yeah, like do with what you're comfortable,
The rule number one is whatever you put in, prepare to lose it.
yeah.
Which sucks. But again, same. I have like $5 in companies. I started out with, just throwing 5 here, 5 there,
Mhm.
just to, get my feet wet, I guess. But then when I started reading more and hearing about, you know, upcoming mergers and things that might cause certain stocks to go up, I started adding more money to that, such as the one I mentioned before,
Yeah,
which um, Schwartz.
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
That I'm
Um,
not super worried about. But if you were going to mention the other electronic car company, maybe that would be something that I wouldn't want to advertise for. Um, yeah, you know, we're all, why not just try something? If you try for 2 weeks and it doesn't work, fine. That's cool.
yeah. I'm just interested in it. I know I've been trying to get a lot of my teacher friends to do it,
Mhm.
but they don't really some don't have the same interest in it, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I've really been having fun, not only learning, but one of the most fun things is when I discuss it in front of people, guys. They their jaws drop. They hit the floor. I mean, like 90% of the time, they're just like, and I honestly, that feeling alone is worth it.
Hey,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Chase your, I don't know, chase your high. I don't know.
Yeah. You're high.
And if talking to men and surprising them about things that are not considered feminine, great. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Let's
Let's,
break that mold.
let's break that mold. We've
Yeah.
been breaking it. Let's keep,
Because why is that considered more masculine?
I have no clue.
Yep.
And also, it's like, it's hard, but it's not that hard.
Yeah. It's not something that only men can do.
Yeah.
And there are even like men who don't do it?
And, I will say this, there are a lot of women
Yeah.
who are,
Yes.
high powered CEOs. Someone I really look up to is Kathy Woods. Um, you should definitely look her up. She's really someone I really admire.
Okay.
So, um, yeah. So, like I said, this is like my infancy
Yeah.
of investing, but it's really fun. Yeah, sure. It's kind of like gambling, but like I said, it helps me think about the world differently,
Yeah.
news differently, read more,
Mhm.
and it's fun.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, and there are podcasts, there are books about this kind of thing. This is not like I don't want to say that either of us are like we're revolutionary and we're changing the world because nobody's ever heard of this.
Yeah,
So there
totally.
there are people that probably know a lot about this and a lot more about this. So yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's great. I think that's a great little thing. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? We can
I,
wrap up right now.
I think that's good for now, but this was really fun.
Yeah,
And thank you so much for having me.
of course. Thank you
And
so much for doing this. We appreciate your time. We appreciate everything that you taught us. Thank you.
awesome.
Okay. See you, Kate.
See ya.